Hi everyone, I can see there are some 21 attendees. Thank you so much for attending this session on the art and business of creating a website, and I hope that this session is useful to you. If there are any questions in between, you can please type them in, or if you can't hear me clearly, I don't know, somehow signal me.
Yeah. So, guys, first of all, welcome, and we're going to start a session. So this session will go on for 1 hour, and we'll have a presentation for first half an hour, and then we'll have a Q&A. And by the way, it's our privilege to have with us Chaaya Baradhwaaj today. Those of you who don't know her, she's the managing director of BCWW, which is one of the most respected digital agency out of India. And purely because of uh, the work that they have, the creative work that they have done, and they're known for various successful implementation of various creative campaigns. And Chaya herself, she's actually one of the most respected personals in digital media fraternity out of India. Those of you who have probably, I don't know how many of you are aware or not, but she was the first Indian out of digital media fraternity to be invited as jury member in international cities and festivals. So really, it's a privilege, Chaya, that you've taken time out for today's session. And today's session, I mean, personally, I know web designing, it's extremely complex. It involves multi-dimensional skills. Today's session, we are going to look into the approach that an organization needs to take in web designing. So without taking any further time, I'll Chaya, over to you. And guys, if you have any question, just type it down in the question panel, and we'll take up the question once the presentation is over. Yes, Chaya, over to you.
Thank you so much, Kapil, for the kind words and the introduction. So today, I'll try to touch upon the role of a website, what a website brief should contain, what you should be ready with as a client, and also as an agency, the information you should really be asking a client. Technical stuff that a client should know, and probably an agency should also make them aware about right in the beginning. Approaching the whole web designing process, what to look for in a design concept, steps to creating a website, usability testing, because it's a very important aspect of this entire process and is not yet popular or well accepted by clients. And last is, of course, how do you deal with clients while you're doing this entire designing process and understanding your agency. I will share that most of this is what I'm sharing is based on our own experience. We've also evolved the way we started working and the way we have learned over the last 10 years on how to do a website design and what are the stumbling blocks, etc. So first, of course, your website, it's a virtual showroom. It's the destination that people find you on when they can't physically reach out to you. It's also, a salesperson, because whatever they see on the website can help to convert that the visitor into a customer. And like it's shown over here, fresh faced, your new go-to destination for natural luxury beauty goods online. Most websites are indeed the go-to destination for your customers, or the website is indeed the go-to destination for your customer or potential client who's seeking information about your product, service, might even be actually interested in competition but would be coming to check you out too. And finally, what a website is all about is, it's all about what you are. It can reflect, enhance, or destroy your brand image totally. It is a very, very critical piece in your marketing and communication channel. And if you see, there are some companies which are very evolved and are investing a lot of time and energy in ensuring that this piece is well in place, while there are others who have not yet realized the importance of a website or are not able to pay attention to the website, because creating a website by no means is a simple process. It is definitely a very complex and challenging task, and you have to be really well geared as an organization. Your departments, all your department heads have to contribute towards the creation of a website. Ultimately, the website can be an excellent customer service and sales channel. So, to start with, when you do a website, the very first important thing is the website brief. It is actually akin to, building the blueprint. When you're going to build a big project, you have the architect draws up the blueprint, and only then everything else starts. So a website brief is as important as that, and till this gets approved or till you're very clear on what you want, you shouldn't be moving ahead. And while this sounds like the most basic step, our experience shows that till date, even the most evolved companies or digitally savvy companies can be often challenged at this stage itself. On the other hand, there are others who have very complex briefs but are in fact not clear. There are too many elements in the brief, some of which are not relevant also. So, I'm going to define some of the basic steps that should be definitely there and are the most important part of your brief. One is, of course, defining the target audience and profiling them. See, it's very easy to say 18 to 25-year-old teenagers in metros. 18 to 25-year-olds, not teenagers, sorry, 25-year-olds in metros. But, that is a very, very vast definition. You need to have a profile of, who is this customer. So if you already have a market for your product and there is a reason why a customer is buying a product, then profile that customer. By profiling, I mean, have this girl is 23-year-old, she works in an ad agency, this is what she does, and this is when and how she buys my product. Or, this is a 45-year-old purchase manager, this is what he does, these are the other companies he works with. That kind of a definition will help your agency understand. And even if, as an agency, it's very important that you try to understand the target audience beyond that, SEC A, B, 18 to 25 women, it has to go a little beyond that. If there are different audience segments, which is the case with most clients, and definitely B2B clients have this challenge, service-oriented clients, they have multiple services targeting very, very different audience segments, Infosys, L&T, etc. So then, each of these audience segments, you should spend time in defining and profiling who is this customer, what is their profile, where do they work, what do they do, and what is the service that they buy from. If you don't do this first step, then rest of whatever you do can go completely wrong or cannot or may not achieve the objective you want. The other is, you have to state what is the ultimate business objective. Do you want to increase sales? What is it that finally you want to achieve as a business is very important, because the website is going to play that critical role. There is no point in having a website just so that there is a URL on the visiting card. This website has to reflect what you want to do, because if you're meeting a client and telling him something, and when they go to the site, your site is telling them something else, again, that could be something wrong. So your agency, you should get them into confidence and tell them what are your challenges, what is your ultimate business objective. Then, every brand, even whether it's a shampoo or it's an airline, everybody does have something unique about them. You have to find what is that key strength. Yes, today with competition in multiple brands, these trends might be, wafer thin differentiation between the other brands, but still they are there. That's what your brand is about. So, I have a slow. Kapil, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly. All of us can hear you.
Okay, Kapil, I just got a prompt that says I have a slow web connection. Would you like to stop sharing my webcam? Should I do that?
I don't think so, because I can see you clearly. I can see the screen clearly. There is no issue at my end.
Okay, fine. All right. Okay, so I'm just continuing. Sorry about the interruption. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Next, after we define the audience, we then want to be very sure as to what is the information that we want to put out on the site, and what are the call to actions that we want the visitor to the site to take when they come. Do we want them to just read the information? Is there specific information that we want them to definitely go to? For instance, do we want them to definitely see that we have 25 branches across India? Or do we want them to know that we have started our operations in another country, etc.? So what are the call to actions, be it visiting, be it entering an inquiry form, be it calling someone? So these also have to be very clearly defined in our brief. And third, and also very important at this stage itself, is that we have to start building intelligence. That is, once the visitors come to the site, we need to start capturing what did they actually do. And so what all is the information that we want to capture, we should try to define this also in the brief. The other is, of course, most of the time already we would have seen some other websites and we would have said that this is very good, I want to be like this, I want to be like that. So when we like websites, we have to be very clear why we like them and why we feel they work for us. Because there are many websites that might be great, but might not at all work for your product, brand, service, whatever. So we have to be very clear as to what is it that we liked about them. Because this can also give a very wrong message to the people creating the website. And so even as an agency, I have found that we have to grill down why is it that they liked a particular website. Because if they told us that they liked a particular website and we tried to create something like that, later we find out, no, it's not going to work at all because the entire purposes are different. And only when you grill down is the client actually able to tell what is it that they liked, what is it that they want to achieve. So grilling down right at the beginning is very, very important. Then, once we have, put our website brief in place, we need to know that while creating a website, it's not only the agency that's going to just design the web pages. There is a lot of information that you need to be ready with, you need to be geared with. So one is, of course, you create the website brief. Ensure that it is validated by all the key stakeholders. So including the MD of the company. Frankly, the MD, the CTO, they are the most important people. The founder has to be involved at this stage. Please ask him or her at this stage, what is it? Because again, experience has showed that after the website has gone into development stage is when the MD has got involved, and that is when he gives a totally different brief. Or they have changed their business objective, but this is usually because the key stakeholders were not involved. It is more digital manager who was given the task of doing the website. So these things were not at all considered when the process had started. So the website brief should be signed off by all the key stakeholders right in the beginning. Second is, you should understand that whatever content you want to disseminate should also be ready with you. It cannot, be a process that you will do as the website is getting built. If you do not have content, which is the case in most companies, because it's not easy, even if you have, like in our own company, we've not been able to, completely update all our content on our website because somebody has to sit and actually write all this content. And also all the companies, like even ourselves, we are evolving. So our content also keeps evolving. So content that was prepared even 6 months back or even 3 months back sometimes is not at all appropriate. It has to be updated. So if you don't have content ready, be prepared that you will have to sign up someone to generate this content. Even the agency you're going to sign up can generate this content. Photographs are also very, very important. You should have them. Most of the times this is the biggest challenge, and while you might pay the agency 7 lakhs to 10 lakhs to develop a website, we have found that companies hesitate a lot to do a shoot for 1 or 2 lakhs. This is a very, very big mistake because visuals make a very, very important are a very, very important part of the design. And a photograph even of your MD, for instance, key stakeholders are very, very important. Photographs of your products are very important. Photographs of whatever you want to. If there are no product, people photographs, then the kind of contextual photography that you're going to do has to be of very high quality. Either you shoot or you purchase them, but this is an investment you should be prepared right at the beginning to invest in. Then other than this, technical stuff, something which is very often missed out, discussed right at the end, some things that people should know about. One is, of course, the platform ASP.NET or PHP. Today, there are very little differences, advantages between these two platforms. Of course, programmers of ASP.NET and programmers of PHP will always have a difference and they will feel one is better over the other. But overall, there are, wafer thin advantages and disadvantages of both of these. But get your agency to recommend. You might not have the full technical know-how or understanding, so then you rely with the agency's recommendations and go ahead. Web hosting. This is another, aspect which we have been challenged with very often. Some companies have their own web host service providers. And some of them also, they think that I will invest so much on a website design, but I will get the cheapest web hosting service provider. Now, if you're technically well equipped to deal with a host service provider, please go ahead and do this. But then you have to take the responsibility of dealing with the host service provider, in the long run. Our recommendation is that you first of all look for 24/7 support from the web host service provider. Ensure that they have firewalls. Look up their clients. Which are the other clients? They have to be clients of at least your level, if not better. And and they should. The best option is, of course, if your agency can provide the web hosting service provider, and that too of a good service provider, because when a site goes down, you do not know who is at fault. You do not know if it's the web host service provider or it's the agency's fault, and a lot of time can get lost because of this lack of clarity. But if there is a one-point contact, the onus lies on that particular person. Today, of course, it's very important, whether your site, who's going to access your site and on what device. I think it goes without saying that most target consumers today are accessing websites on the go. So a mobile or a tablet should be there. Now you can make one, a responsive site which can open on these devices, or there is also an option of creating a watered down version for these devices. Please explore both options very clearly, so you know which one you opt for. Right in the beginning, of course, you can also define the languages that you want to target. So if you have Italy is a market, France is a market, then you can definitely start doing geo targeting right away and create these versions. Even Indian, for instance, Monsanto is targeting the farmer community in India. So they have languages in all Indian regional languages. So you can do that and do geo IP targeting, by which the language sites can open for the appropriate regions. CMS. Now, when you create a website, you might have already had an experience where you created a website, but you are now no longer able to contact the person who created your website. You need to update content. You're not able to do that, and then you don't know whom to go to. Or you go to a new agency and they say, I need these files, I need those files, etc. So when you do a website, it's good to have a content management system by which you can update content. While you can have, if your agency might be on a maintenance and they might be updating the content on this, what you could do is you can also have a documentation done, have a training also done for yourself, by which you can update the content and you're not dependent on the agency. Now we come to the aspect of the web design part itself. So as I mentioned earlier, photographs are very, very important. So visuals definitely break the clutter, but so does copy. So it has to be a match between photographs and copy. Second is, you have to ensure that the product information, service, whatever, is very, very critical. We have clients still today who feel that why would anybody, visit my product section? But we have enough and more information with us to show how, when the visitor comes for the first time, product section is the most visited section, and then they go on to the other sections. But product is very, very critical. And in fact, we have had usability testing where the customer felt that this is so little. They found that if there is just one paragraph you've written on a food product, for instance, that's so little. They like to have more and more information. That's the whole reason. The person who's coming to a website is coming for information, so please provide as much as you can and in detail. Then, once you give the product information, yes, then it's, if you want to engage with the audience and if you want to convert them into your customers, then you can start having tools. You can have forums, contests, blogs, interactive product displays. You can have add-on content. You can have additional white papers, interactive tools, etc. Once you are given the product. This is how we found the consumer's journey on a website typically has to be. Then, when we go to, if I have to start the steps in website creation, first is, of course, creation of the sitemap, list all the content, share the content that is required with the and photograph the agency. The agency will then create wireframe and the information architecture for the site. This is very important, so you'll see where what content is going to come. Then you'll get a design concept, that this is what we want to show, this is how we want to show, references of the kind of design they want to do. This helps to cut down. Many times the company says, "Nee, mere ko 3 layout option do. Show me 2-3 layouts." Why should there be 3 layouts? Ideally, there should be one good layout. And this can be done if you work together, and that could be variants of that layout of the same kind of concept. But if you are showing 3 different routes, approaches, then both parties are not clear, we feel, on what you want. I'm not saying we don't do it. We have to do it sometimes, but we are increasingly doing our best. There is one layout that we show, it's passed, and at the most we have to do little tweaks on it. Then, after you designed a homepage, before you go on with the development of the site, it helps a lot immensely when we just test the homepage with end users. Here itself, we found that sometimes what the client wants, what we work, has a totally different impact once it reaches the consumer. Or sometimes there are some very good insights that they give, because of which we can do minor tweaks and enhance that design so it works. Then comes wireframing, information architecture of the full site, designing the inner pages, development of the site, CMS as I mentioned, testing the site, debugging it for any errors that come up, and final launch. Then when we look at design, there are many good-looking websites. We ourselves have gone through it, where we've done many good-looking websites. We realize that what definitely makes or breaks a site, or gives you the edge, is when there is a design concept. Now, when I talk about a concept, it could be an idea. It could be an idea on the kind of way that website transitions. It could be a very great copy communication idea, which conveys a lot about the company. It could be tone of voice that we use throughout the site. So etc. So various things. So is that a design concept is something you can question. And once you have a concept given, you arrived at a good concept, you can always question. Some questions can ask, what is unique? How does it differentiate you? How does it impact the audience? It didn't do all these things, but one or two of these things, and then of course finally go by a gut that will it work or not. As I mentioned, usability testing, we found very startling results. Once you've developed a website, you definitely, can run it through the end user, and, like this cartoon here shows, no, that's not how you're supposed to use it. This is really something that you'll experience when you do a usability testing. And we feel that not only should, the agency do, but the client at their end can also do. Both can independently do it, unbiased, uninfluenced testing, where you just sit and observe how the person is doing. Again, there's a little cartoon here which, depicts, and this is how you actually take notes when the person is doing it. I think I click here, what do you need next? I think I'll click here, and, there will be many surprises that come in. So we have, for instance, slowed down the transitions of the main flash headers because of this. We increased font sizes. We've, changed the nomenclature of some of the links, etc. When we done this usability testing, and with these tiny changes, we found that the user sessions have gone up on the site, time spent has gone up, or the call to actions go up, etc. Then social applications this is like hygiene and definitely must-dos. Definitely have sharing links on the site so that we share this content with whoever they want by email or on Facebook, etc. Do not assume that why would somebody, there is a lot of, I think there is a problem where we feel, oh, why would anybody want to share content about me, my product? Why would they share? But they would. There might be a reason why they want to. And so please include the sharing links, and of course ensure that your site is SEO'd while it is being built, at the time that it is being designed, and not afterwards, because it's an additional cost when you have to pull down the pages and again do search engine optimization, which is adding tags, etc. And as you know, most people use search engines only to find a website. Instead of using the browser window, they use the Google window to type out your name and then click on the website. So ensuring that your site is SEO will help. Then of course, the basic question is, when there is Facebook, I have a Facebook page. There's a question that till today we keep facing, that, do I need a website? There is a link below to a blog. I don't know if it's clickable. You can copy paste it, but I can share it later if you require. But that's about, why do you need a website? Facebook or your own website. So here are some of our take on what you do. So definitely on social media you get peer opinion on your brand and it being discussed is good. But a social media page, a Facebook page has a lot of status updates. Twitter has tweet feeds. LinkedIn will have an about us page. It is very difficult to provide holistic information within another social channel about your brand or product. And I believe that, there wouldn't be any business or a brand that doesn't have enough to say. It's very quite impossible. If you have not enough to say, then there is a problem in itself, according to me. Second is, if when you don't have a website, or or they find you only on social media, you're going to not be able to do much about people finding you in a place where other people are discussing your brands. So how do you plug in your own information? Third is, of course, there are people, like we said, they start with a Google browser. At least, 50 to 60% of the audience, when they look for you, go into a Google or any other search engine, but primarily Google. So when they go there, they find, that you cannot find your link. And if you look at your own experiences, you might have find this, it could be a hotel website, or it could be a brand website. You would find that if you don't find it and you are forced to go into only other websites, then it is a little, it gives you a step back. You really do not have enough information. In my own experience, I've really found it with hotels. When I'm not able to find their website and I have to only rely on a TripAdvisor or a Nevalink, etc., I find it very challenging, and it's more cumbersome to look at all their images, etc. Now, I come to the final part of my presentation, which is, and once we've got everything else in place, we've understood, what happens when we want to create a winning website. So what most people, at least if there are agency people here, they would have experienced it. That usually when we show a first cut, this is the kind of feedback that they would get. It looks great, was perfect. In fact, this happened with us last week. Finally, we convinced the client that, hopefully we have convinced the client that this is the one. Day 7, this is what happens. Our MD did not like the design. Please show a few more options. As if it's like, doling out vegetables out of a basket or something. Just show a few more options. And yes, this is finally the frustrating experience for the agency. Then the second challenge that we find is, we will send you the content within a week. Month 3, we will send you the content within a week. It still continues to be within a week, but there's no sign of the content, and you're waiting. What happens next? Month 4, finally you get the content, and within a fortnight, you get these nasty stinkers. As you were supposed to launch the site 2 months back. What happened? No, it can't be the content. So if the content came late, what is there? The rest of the site should be ready. Rest of the site, without the content, you can't even plan the information architecture. We have found that when a content for this page will come later, it's not content for one page, it's content for an entire section, or it's like a microsite that comes in. So, it's very important for clients to understand that agencies block resources. So when you sign up a agency, you usually say that, in 1.5 months, I want, the site ready. But later on, you're yourself not geared for, and you're not clear who's giving the approvals. And a set of approvals is first given by a certain team. By another 2-3 weeks, another team is rejected the designs, etc. These things happen. So clearly define timelines, roles, etc. and have penalty clauses for both sides. That's what we do in all our contracts. We have penalty clauses for us as well as for the client. And we found that it really works. We keep reminding both, we remind the client, and the client also equally reminds us about these penalties whenever there are delays. And of course, when it comes to creators, when both sides are not agreeing, I'm trying to simplify what you can do. For agencies, one agency, I tell my team that you do need to understand that the website is very, very critical. And yes, it could have happened that manager X approved it, and then later on there is a change. But do sit with the client, understand what, and sometimes in this entire dialogue, we have found that we are able to convince the client that what we've done actually does work. So rather than just walk away with the feedback and being frustrated, sit and talk, and this really helps in resolving the issue or even doing minor tweaks and getting the job done. For clients, I think it's very important that you have signed on the agency, and so suddenly you cannot start distrusting their judgment. They are in this business for a particular reason, so there is a need to trust their decision and go. After all, they are the design agencies, they are the web agencies, you are doing another business altogether. So, there should be a level of trust. So that was about it. You can find us on all these places to know more about BCWW. Thank you. So any questions, anyone?
Thanks, Chaaya, for sharing. Yeah, so guys, it's time so you can share your question. Chaya, I have one question before other people actually can type down
Yeah.
their questions. One of the, so you actually recreated the whole process very well, starting from understanding the customers to understanding the business and then putting up the right sort of
Yeah.
content.
Can you speak up a little bit? I'm not able to hear you very clearly.
Okay, so I'll be a little louder. Yeah, am I
Yeah.
audible now? Yeah. So what I was suggesting, you very well laid out the complete steps on what it takes to really build a website properly.
Yes.
And one of
Thank
the
you.
critical element you mentioned was doing the usability testing, which is ultimately really
Yes.
getting the people involved who for whom the
Yes.
website is really getting created. Now, my question
Yes.
is that you do the usability testing once the site is more or less ready. Is there a way to involve
Yes.
your customers at an early stage, since there's a lot of investment that has already been made and there's a lot of the
Yes.
kind of changes that you can do after usability testing is very less. So is there
Yes.
a way you can recommend for getting the end users involved in the creation process in an early stage?
Yes. Yes, yes. In fact, like actually what I have also mentioned is that when you do your first design prototype, that is the first time you should do a usability testing. Now, unfortunately, it is not, you generally have a JPEG. So, you cannot really have clicking. But if you have, like, say, created one or two more JPEGs of, say, the product section or whichever other section is important for you, you could just hyperlink them on a basic HTML page and do a first level testing at this stage. It's very, very important, and we do it at this stage itself, right? In the beginning. And usually at this time you might have two or three options of it, which would be the final layout we've arrived at along with its tweaks. And sometimes there might be, a confusion between different options. And we show both, at very different levels. Without generally, these are also blind testing. So sometimes the brand is not revealed, sometimes the brand is revealed. And yes, at this stage itself, we need to do the testing, and you can keep involving the user at every level. So I don't know if you some of you might know Sunsilk Gang of Girls. When we developed Sunsilk Gang of Girls, very few people know that there was a beta site also ready. So there was a site called Sunsilk.in. At the same time, we had a link to Sunsilk Gang of Girls on the site, and we mailed about 10,000 users that please click on this link and test the new site that is going to be launched and give us your feedback. And on every page, we had these little feedback windows. So in 1 week at that time, out of 10,000 girls, I remember we had about 700 responses. And at the end of it, totally we had 4,000 girls actually responding to this research. And we did a lot of tweaks, which included nomenclature. Nomenclature plays a very, very big role. What you called a particular link, it's very surprising how they want you to call it something else so they can easily get to it. How they want certain input. So, these are the kind of testings you can do right from the beginning. Yes, I hope that answers
Got
your
it.
question.
So, yeah,
Yes.
thank you. Yes, you have. So there's one question from Chakravarti. In fact, what he wants is please suggest for a website development agency that's kind of pricing strategy is the best, especially when you deal with the websites that have a creative elements and if it is leading to more iterations. What I would suggest is, we also keep getting a lot of questions regarding, help us finalize the design agency, creative agency. So as a client,
Okay.
what is an
Yes.
approach we should take to, and I hope you would not be biased towards the strength of the websites right now, but, I mean, overall in an industry, if I have to finalize an agency, then
Yes.
what should I look at and how should I really approach?
Okay. See, so one is of course when you're putting together your brief, you sort of more or less have an idea of what you're looking for. When you're doing the agency evaluation, you of course before you approach them, you look at their own websites and see if they've had experience in delivering that kind of content. Now, of course, that is not to say that an agency which doesn't have that experience will not be able to do it, but at least it helps you to sort of give that. You also have to do reference definitely. You have to ask around. And there are lots of new, very good small agencies also today, and who might be able to do the job very cost effectively. If it, now it depends on where you are. If you yourself are near the startup stage, then partnering with a smaller agency is a very good idea because they are more committed. We have also come up that way, I know how committed we used to be because we had to prove ourselves. So, a small agency, and of course, just because they're small, don't steamroll over them. But if you can support them, then they can deliver a great job for you. And what you have to then look for is the technical expert. Technically, any agency has to be very sound. You have to find out, visit their office and find out if they say they have 7 people, ensure that they have 7 people, and ensure you meet those people and get are confident that you're going to be there around for a long time. So commitment from the agency and their teams is very, very important, first level. If you are a larger agency, then definitely it is better, larger company, it's better to go with a larger company, which is work with companies of your size, because then you will not be able to give the time that a smaller company might be able to a smaller agency, and a lot of it will have to be done by the agency itself. So technical expertise in the areas that you are looking for is very, very important. And you will obviously call in for a pitch. You will call in to 3 agencies. Please do not call 7 or 10 agencies. We think it's not fair, it's not right, and you're going to get too much of information. You'll waste a lot of time. So go with 3 which you have been able to narrow down with the first level. Maybe you can ask for an email pitch first and then narrow down. Once you've gotten these pitches, you then see who's closest to your expectations, or who are the people you could connect with, who managed to click with you and go with your gut feel. I hope that helps.
Okay. Yes, I think there was a lot of inputs on that. Another question is asked by Biju. He's saying, is there any architecture ready created with agencies for particular industry or category? Or do we need to you need to sit with the client and agency and decide the structure? So this is the question which comes out of it is, there are a lot of standard templates already available. There are a lot of websites wherein the standard templates are already there. So for a company to do to start from the basics, or they can go with the standard templates, how to decide, or is it purely the development effort? You still need to do all the work that you initially laid out. How to really decide between these options? You could highlight some.
Yeah. See, since this presentation I think will be there, so there are some basic things on the brief that I have mentioned. Now, if you can definitely look at other websites and standard templates available online and see which of these are matching with that brief that you created. And it is very, very good then and faster to go look at the sitemap, create a sitemap like that, create the open sitemap like that, and go with those architectures which are already, no need to reinvent the wheel. What you then can do is, of course, get that, then comes the most important part for you will be the design concept, how your messaging is being done. Invest a little in great photography and, a good copywriter, and you can then, work with existing templates, existing frameworks.
Got that.
Does that answer the question?
Yes, absolutely. And the next question is again by Biju. He's saying how to really go about designing the SEO friendly website. You mentioned, you highlighted about the SEO stuff, the criticality of that.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't dwell into it because it's another topic, but I can give some very basic things, which is, of course, you go to a SEO freelancer or an agency based on, what you can afford, and look for, what are the most common keywords that are relevant to your business already being looked for by your customer. So they will analyze the search volumes. So 1,000 searches around the keyword, 10,000 searches. So they'll identify all these keywords and they will share those keywords with you. When you're creating content for your website, the content should implement these keywords as much as possible, but you cannot spam and, put keywords for the sake of it. It has to be relevant. Then when you're building the pages, there are those, in an HTML page, in a typical HTML page, there are things like title of the page, then the URL of the page, the way image it is written. Then there are, HTML tags, web meta tags that are put within the content. So these things are then done by the SEO person, search engine optimizer, and then your site can be crawled by a search engine spider. So that is why this is important to do while you're building a website and not afterwards.
Great. And just a follow-up question on that, when you ask client to write the content, do you give them SEO guidelines beforehand, or the SEO work is taken care at the copy stage?
See, usually the SEO rewriting is done by a SEO rewriter. Okay, because they would have had experience. Very few clients themselves write content like that. But at least we've not experienced, but they could write it and give it again to the SEO person to validate it once. Okay, so while the content is being written, at that time is the best time. Now, supposing you've already built a website, then your content will have to be rewritten. So you're going to, replicate the job once again if you do it later on.
Got it.
So, okay, the other way to answer this question is if you give raw content to the agency, like this is the content I want to put, they will optimize, create the content or edit it with the SEO words.
Right. Great. Okay, another interesting question is asked by Parag. So first of all, he's thanking for having a great session. And you mentioned about the mobile version of the website. So the question is,
Yes.
either you can make the design responsive and have one website which is suited to both the device, or you can design two versions of it. Now, is it what are the pros and cons, and in what, like primarily I'm assuming it's easier to maintain one version since the handling the content and CMS would be easy. But in what circumstances should you go with the two versions, and what are the pros and cons, and what circumstances you have figured out, which one will work? So if there are some suggestions on
that. Yes. Okay, so it will again depend on what your specific need is. Now, supposing you are having a very high engagement website, and that particular engagement cannot be built on languages that are tablet friendly or mobile friendly, then you definitely have a web version and a mobile version. But if that is not the case and you do not need to use technology that is of that nature, then you can have a one size fits all. But even then, even if you don't have an engagement, but say you are going to showcase the product in a very different way, and that same, when it becomes responsive, essentially it starts optimizing for the different size, so it scales down the images, scales down the fonts, and though you can, change the proportion, it won't be completely proportionate, though you can tweak it a little. And there are times when it won't work on the mobile, and on the mobile you want to showcase it in a different way, because ultimately the screen sizes are very, very different. So when you want to do that, then it is better to have two versions. Also, sometimes on the go, there are only 4 or 5 links that you really want the customer is going to use, and those are the links you want to showcase. So when that is the case, you definitely then need to ensure that you have a separate mobile version, because let's take a Hero MotoCorp. Now we have built a responsive site, so all the links are available. But we are also exploring now another version, because we know that not all the links are going to be relevant. So we want to see if a watered down version is going to work for them. So only 4 or 5 links, which we know the user on the go is really going to click on. So, so that this is how it is. I hope that yes, sort of answers.
Guys, if there is any follow-up question, just keep writing it down in the question section. Okay, the next question is
asked. Sorry?
I'm just asking everyone, if there is any follow-up question, just type it down so that we can take that up as well. Okay, so yeah, the next question is from Shivkant. He's asking what approach you should have when you're designing a landing page, when your focus is on lead generation. So is there some specific tips in that regard?
Yeah. The call to action, what is it, why is it that the person is going to respond, is the most critical aspect. How compelling is that copy and visual is the most important aspect for them to be interested. Okay, so you have to pay a lot of attention to that. It has to be interesting, it has to be there, it has to be quick, it has to be simple. Second is the form itself. If you the number of windows they have to fill, the lesser they are, the better. The longer they are, you are going to have dropouts. Because not only because the customer is not interested, but as they are typing in, there are going to be interruptions, and they may try to do it later or not do it at all. So that's about it.
Great. So guys, some of you are asking, will we be getting the recording? Of course, all of you will get the recording of this session. Rajiv is asking a question, how will you compare using a service like GoDaddy to build a website versus an independent web agency development? So I think you've already answered, but if there is something else you want to add to that.
Sorry, what was the first? Could you?
How do you compare using a service like GoDaddy to build a website versus an independent web development agency?
Oh, see, recently we had a client of ours, who had done his personal website built on platform like these, and he had suddenly got a message which was technical, he couldn't understand, which said that his site had pulled off because of certain reasons. So he came to us and he asked us if he could help. Now he was our client, we wanted to definitely help him. And but when we explored, we found out that just even to find out what had gone wrong, it was going to take us at least a week to 10 days. And we told him exactly this. He said, we'll charge you 50,000 just to explore this. Best is to go to those people also. So this will be your biggest challenge. When you go to these services, you have to be very equipped that you will be able to handle all these challenges in the long run. Or have it as a temporary solution, but it's better to go to even if you go to the service providers, find out what support they're going to give you, and if you have to pay a little extra for that kind of a support, then do that. This would be my biggest advice.
Great. So next question is actually asked by Biju again. He's asking, if we are going live with a website as a startup, is it necessary to go live with a blog as well to support the website?
What is the nature of business that they are in? Can I know?
Biju, what is the nature of business you are in? If you could let us know. Okay, by the time he's responding to that, Nikhil is asking a question, how relevant is Flash website today?
How relevant is Flash?
With the advent of HTML5 and CSS3, our Flash websites are currently getting built.
Yeah. See, first of all, Flash, even there are certain versions. There is a Flash game also now that can be work on iOS. Okay. So you couldn't write, completely right away Flash. It will work for certain kind of promotions and certain specific audiences. Yes, it has definitely lost its relevancy when it comes to mass targeting because of access on mobiles and tablets. So you should use Flash only if absolutely necessary and if there is no other choice available.
Yeah. As a follow-up, if you can comment something on putting videos on website as well. That's by Preeti.
Sorry?
How effective are videos? How effective are videos to put on website?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on the content, of course, how good or bad your video is. But the broadcast content is another, it's on the rise online. It's very evident that people are watching video content online. So definitely, if you are able to add video content to your site, but it should be relevant, then, it's very highly recommended. And the streaming on tablets, mobiles and all is very good. So there is no doubt that video content is recommended.
Great. So guys, I'm taking more questions as well. Simultaneously, I'm putting up this poll in front of you. If you're interested in BCWW services, just mention yes over here and someone from BCWW team will call you. So the next question is related to auditing the existing website. Vishal is asking, do your agency actually look at the existing websites and take out the less performing areas? So I mean, what I would also want to know inside of that is how frequent should one change one's website, and how frequent should one do the evaluation, auditing whether the website is performing well or not, and if there is some service available in that regard.
See, a website needs to be revamped when technology, browsers have changed, technology has changed, and your site is no longer, opening very properly on the new browsers or the new devices. So that's the main reason. You can make out, they're no longer clean the way they used to be. Second is, of course, if your entire, product proposition, your branding, your messaging has changed. Or a third is, you've got more content, etc. Okay, but the best way, of course, is, so these are reasons when it's a no-brainer, you have to, revamp your website and ensure it's updated. The other is, of course, when you have to do an audit, the best way to do an audit is, of course, month on month, you look at the website traffic and compare it over a period of month, over a period of 6 months, 10 months, etc. And you can then see how the traffic is increasing, dropping, and when you see things are changing not for the good, you know that there is something that's not working, and then you can then do an audit. So the audit is very simple. An agency can just test it. They can see which browsers they are working on, what are the links that are not opening, because that link starts happening. So that's the time when you see that the easy way to find out if the website is not working is when you have a month-on-month traffic analysis happening. So I hope that again answers the question.
I'm sure. So there is no fixed way in a way, but you have to keep looking at changing technology and see when the change is needed at your website, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the question that was asked by Biju earlier, whether the blog is should be supported. So he's saying that service industry, IT services, cosmetic products. That's the domain
Okay.
he belongs to.
Okay. Okay, now see, regarding blogs, you could even have a site which is like a blog itself, because blogs are so fantastic that they come up on search engines so well. So when you want to market a product, this is like a service, or even a beauty brand or something, you put up a blog, it comes up quickly on search engines. It's a very good way to market your product. The only pitfall is that when you start a blog, you need to update it. So if you're not going to have a blog that will be updated at least once a month, worst scenario, once in 2 months, then it's better not to have it, because a dead blog can give, a completely different image altogether, can drive away a customer, because 6 months back you did a post, after that nothing, means you don't have much to say. So put up the blog if you're confident of updating content over there regularly, and also have the content of the blog validated, because blogs are first person. So it reflects, who you are, what you're all about. So it should have good English, English grammar. It should have a good opinion thought. So have a critique evaluated once, that will help. So because it's going to reflect a lot. If it's your own company blog, then it's very important that it reflects the right kind of imagery, and to have it validated by a third party.
Great. I hope, Biju, that answered your question. So there's another question asked by Uni Krishnan. He's asking, does search engine score over a link aggregation website? So he said that I have a backend system which aggregate news on topics, and but heard that website will not be preferred by search engines. So if someone is aggregating content from other sources, is this something that search engine prefer or not prefer, or like, that's too technical, you do not have any idea about, that's also fine.
Yeah, so is he going to pull in content from other websites and relate on his site? No. Is it going to be hyperlinked outside?
Yeah. He hasn't mentioned it, but I'm assuming that it will be hyperlinked outside, because otherwise it will not be genuine in any way.
It is fine, because they are like backlinks. He also becomes a source provider for the content. So search engine will recognize his site too, because this already happens. See the content hosted on many other websites. Okay, so one can go ahead and do it. It obviously shows that you do not have content of your own, and you become a source aggregator of that content. But that's fine. There is search engines do pick that up.
Got that. I mean, overall, one question that I have is, search engines, the more content you have, the better it is. More genuine, authentic, good quality content you have, the better it is as far as attracting search engine traffic. So is there some strategies that, or like some set of tools or engagement tools that you highlight, that should be used these days to get to leverage it properly?
See, yeah, it is, yeah, creating a lot of content is the biggest challenge, okay, for any company. So the easiest actually answer to this is having a blog and ensuring that you're going to, update the blog regularly. And also you're not very bound within the framework of your product service company. So therefore, to that extent, you can have related content and update the blog. So that's the simplest strategy. The other is, there might be, one can always introspect and see, is there content that I can put up in the public domain, which I do have. It could be, case studies, it could be, presentations that we made to clients, it could be consumer testimonials, emails that somebody has shared, which you are overlooking. So I think if you have sort of a central knowledge center kind of thing in your company and you are able to pull in this content, there might be a lot more content than you actually thought you have, which you can start sharing outside. So, this is our only recommendation on this front.
Got it. And I remember your comments about what happens when you ask for content from any organization and how this thing will
Yes,
actually end up
yes,
would be a
yes,
bit of a problem. Yeah, but definitely looks like an interesting suggestion. So definitely blog is one solution to move forward.
yes. And
Great.
I think involving all departments. Another thing we found is, many companies do not realize that their departments can contribute. And their departments have stories that, are not getting centralized to the digital person, like the person in charge of developing the website or putting out content. It's like the communication department, press releases, small notes, the events within the organization, etc. So if all departments are also told about this, that if you have any newsworthy thing or any information that we can share in the public domain or within the organization, mail it to us, then that is another way of trying to source and increase your content bank.
Got it. I think that's great. So possibly I think we have answered all the questions. There is one question by Rajesh Zor. I'm actually not able to understand it. Let me ask you if you could. We have discussed about various phases, including planning, designing, testing, hosting. What about quotation planning and pricing algorithm? Has that something to
Okay.
do with?
Okay. So from an agency viewpoint, that is, how do you quote? Is that the question? Like how do you quote for price a website creation job?
Rajesh, is that your question? Quotation planning and pricing algorithm? Do you want to know? Okay, Rajesh is saying yes. From the agency point of view,
Okay.
how to do the quotation plan?
Yeah. Yeah. So typically once we get the brief and we design, the plan on what the site could include, we actually look at, who are the kind of people from the organization who are going to work on the project. And we do have a rate card for these people. So it depends on the cost. What does this person cost to the company and how much of time is going to take on that. So other than when we do a costing for that person, we also look at other overheads which are then, sort of amortized over all the other talents. So like the office administration, the finance department, the overheads in terms of space, machines, etc. are all divided over all these people. We look at their salaries, we take the cost based on their salary plus these other overheads, define on the man-day, man-hour cost. We find out what could be the typical time that this person will take to work on the project and work out the cost of the project. So when we make a cost development sheet, we sit with each department, each team, and find out what is the time that they envisage they will take. Once we've done that, we of course put the cost, and we have a modular cost. We put how much we will charge for the design concept, how much we'll design for the wireframing, how much for programming, how much for designing, etc. We also, but realize the need, and now we do it, is that we put a total man hours on the project. So the total man hours are say 500 man hours. We put that, and we say that the cost will vary if the man hours shoot up, and we keep the client updated, because clients also need to empathize that if they are asking for changes, or if they are asking for additional sections, if they are asking for additional development, or they change the entire strategy, there is a time that the agency is already committed on the project. So if these changes, the costs are going to vary. So this is how we quote. The quotation comes along with indication that these are the man hours. There could be a little variation, but beyond a certain variation, there will be cost differentiations also. Also, we say that these are costs estimated on the current present proposal that we've done, and estimating that this is what you would want to do. If there are going to be changes, costs are also subject to change.
Got it. I think you've got, everybody's got the inside details on how agencies actually plan out stuff. So that was very useful.
Okay.
So I think we have answered all the questions so far. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Since it's
Thank you.
time, so I think close the session also. So once again, thank you, Chaaya, for taking time out and having such
Yes. Thank you too for inviting me, and thank you all those who have attended. And I hope that this session really is useful for you all in the long run. Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks. Bye.